because it's not like I want our Facebook audience to see us.
Absolutely.
And they're still able to comment. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm just filling in the people live and in the room about how I have to change the process a little bit here so that I can somehow, now where did we find this before? Oh, where's Amanda? There we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna share this link into our Facebook pages so that people know where to find us, so that we are here. Because we are here and we are live with the Spirit of Healing Academy. We are meeting, as we always do, in Awakened Life Chiropractic. That is at 701 Rossland Road East in Whitby. We are hosted by the always fabulous Dr. Mike Koulis. Thank you very much, not only for your space, but also for your awesome adjustments. It's great to be here. We were talking about this a few minutes ago. We think this is the first time we've been live streaming this year. I don't know. I'm here on the Academy Facebook page now, so I can maybe check that out. And we are live. Join us, friends. Paste. Okay. Share now. Hopefully, it takes.
Woohoo!
I don't know. Maybe somebody else can check the Facebook page while I do this discussing business. Okay, so I want to just let everybody know who is on the live stream. The beautiful part about continuing to stream on YouTube is that you can still comment here and we can see your comments and I can interact with you. So if you are joining us, please do let us know that you are here. I am Reverend Michelle Scrimsher Brown, and it is my pleasure to be here leading this gathering in however many weeks it's been. Were you able to see anything?
It's been 2.
It's been 2 weeks.
We did meet on the 5th.
Okay, so we have had one this year. All right. Phew. Hasn't been as long as I thought. But Happy New Year again, because as I said to somebody earlier this week, I think it's Chinese New Year next week. It's on the 28th. And then we have the Lunar New Year that is celebrated across Southeast Asia, the second week in February. There are all kinds of New Years coming. So let's just keep the party going. I think we're still doing Orthodox New Year. A friend of mine is a musician in a Ukrainian folk band, you know, as you would be. And they keep playing Malanka parties, which is the Ukrainian New Year festival. She was just doing one last night. So, you know, I think we can keep saying Happy New Year. Why not? Here at the Spirit of Healing Academy, we are an assembly of people who will teach each other to find the miracle of joyful living from life circumstance to accomplish that which seems impossible. And our intention with these gatherings is to have conversations with each other that help us to create connection, stimulate thought, and expand our consciousness. Our announcements continue to be the same, but because it's been a few weeks, I'll offer a few reminders. We do collect donations. There's a little green basket over there if you wanted to help support the ongoing growing needs of this organization, which is looking at incorporation this year. That's one of the things that I was talking about in the fall, our new changes. We're looking at incorporation. We're looking at ways to expand our reach in the community, and all kinds of things that could come with that. So if you wanted to help support that, please do feel free to make a financial contribution. As always, though, vastly more important is your presence here, because we cannot create connection if nobody's here.
Hello.
We cannot stimulate thought if nobody is challenging us on these ideas that we always hold to be true, as Mike says to us. But is that really true? We can't do any of these things if we're not here. So your presence, whether online and your commentary here or here in the room with us, is vastly more important than any financial contribution. So please do not let money be a reason to not attend. We do our best to be set free. Good morning, love. Nancy, if you're watching, I did fill in the people in the room, and that's why we're kind of giggling about Scent Free. But we do strive to be set free so that those of you who want to attend live and in person, if you have sensitivities to scent, you are able to still be here. Good morning. It's wonderful to have you here too. Thanks for joining. Discussion topics. We want these gatherings, these discussions to be relevant to what's going on in your life. So if you wanted to make suggestions about what you would like to talk about, I would love to hear from you. You can Facebook us. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/Spirited Healing Academy. You can comment here either on the live stream while you're watching or in the comment thread on YouTube afterwards with some ideas about what you would like to talk about. You can talk to me live and in person. Like if your face is here, my face would love to hear from your face. I know, crazy talk, right? But it's true. It's true. I would love to hear from you. So if you wanted to make suggestions, please do. Now, before we get into discussion, I just want to quickly check in on community events. Groove is happening.
We've got Laughter Yoga up first. Laughter Yoga this Wednesday at 7:15 at Clarington's Wellness Path in Bowmanville.
In Bowmanville. Wonderful.
Come laugh with us.
Listen, if you've never done laughter yoga and you think it's going to be like all stretching and stuff, I need you to know not to be intimidated by laughter yoga, because literally it is the best time you're ever going to have for $20 at the door.
It's about that.
It's about $20. Yeah. You just laugh, and there are laughter exercises. I don't mean to take over your thing,
and that's fine. It's a laughter practice. It is not. It is only yogic in that we do some deep breathing exercises.
Right. It's about the breath work.
It is all about laughing and just releasing all of those beautiful endorphins.
It's amazing. So you should really check that out if you haven't. So Laughter Yoga is Thursday in Bowmanville. Wednesday in Bowmanville.
And then next Monday, the 27th, we groove again at Fantastic Cafe in Whitby.
Wonderful. And so people can find out more about these things on
Groove Durham. Facebook /
Perfect. Groove Durham. Wonderful. Any announcements for you? Do you have anything coming with Spiritual Networking? No? Okay. Okay. Anything for you?
I don't have anything right now.
Anything for you? You're here?
We're not going to talk about it.
Awesome. Okay. The only thing that I want to let you know is that Thursday is the kickoff for the Spirited Healing Journey. If you wanted to look more into that, that's journey.spiritedhealing.ca. You have to do the https://. But check it out. We would love to have you. We are claiming our power this cycle. No longer are we just going to hope it comes to us. We're actually going to get into action to grab that clarity that we're looking for. So we'd love to have you on the journey. That starts on Thursday. And the only other thing that I can really think of is that Chris, if she was here, would remind us about Toastmasters. They meet in Pickering on Thursdays at lunchtime. So if you wanted to find them, they're called Trailblazers on Facebook. And I am participating in the Vagina Monologues. That's happening February 12th. So that's a few weeks away. Women only at this point, but we are really close to a second venue. So we'll have 2 shows, but February 12th, 7 o'clock at Women's Wellness Circle for the Vagina Monologues. Okay, and that's it for community events for now. Before we begin with our opening intention, I just want to take a moment here to read our land acknowledgement. As the journey towards reconciliation in Canada continues and we strive to fulfill the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to action, it's important that we continue to build relationships and engage in ongoing education. Reconciliation and allyship is a continuous process and one that we all need to engage in fully. With this in mind, we must take every appropriate opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territory upon which we reside. Acknowledging the traditional territory is one way to express our respect, our gratitude, and our appreciation for the Indigenous people who have inhabited and continue to live on the land that we have taken from them. It is in recognition of their continued presence, both in the past and of the present. Recognizing this helps to honor the trauma of being separated from their land has created within their people, and attempts to foster a safe environment where Indigenous people feel welcome to share their stories with us, who are eager to listen. The Spirited Healing Academy is proud to acknowledge the lands and the people of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, which is covered under the Williams Treaties. We are situated on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas, a branch of the greater Anishinaabeg Nation, which includes Algonquin, Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi. Thank you for the land. All right, and now let us begin with our affirmation of hope.
Our opening intention.
Our opening intention. Thank goodness there are people in the room.
Thank you.
May I come to understand that blessings are everywhere, that my attitude will affect outcomes, and that challenges are often gifts in disguise. May I come to trust that most things can get better with time, that my instincts and gut feelings have value, and that a positive attitude makes things go smoother. May I come to see that I have many skills and talents I can use, that I am a positive influence on many people, and that there are those around me who wish me well. May I come to value that today is a blessing to be enjoyed, that each person is unique and important, and that each moment of my life has meaning. So today, I was looking for topics and I had some ideas, and in the end, I settled on a screenshot that I've seen of a piece of writing by a man named Matt Haig. And it's a book that he wrote called, Reasons to Keep Living. Reasons to Keep Living. Matt Haig wrote a book called Reasons to Keep Living. And this is an excerpt from that book. The title is The World. So let me read it to you, and then we can get into some conversation. The world is increasingly designed to depress us. Happiness is not very good for the economy. If we were happy with what we had, why would we need more? How do you sell an anti-aging moisturizer? Well, you make someone worry about aging. How do you get people to vote for a political party? You make them worry about immigration. How do you get them to buy insurance? Well, by making them worry about everything. How do you get them to have plastic surgery? By highlighting their physical flaws. How do you get them to watch a TV show? By making them worry about missing out. How do you get them to buy a new smartphone? By making them feel like they are being left behind. To be calm becomes a kind of revolutionary act. To be happy with your own non-upgraded existence, to be comfortable with our messy human selves would not be good for business. I just loved that when I read it.
It's true, but I don't love it.
Okay.
It's probably true.
Let's talk about it.
Whether it is really true. I'm just saying, it's you kind of start seeing the programming of the world to try to motivate you, or it's almost like enslaving us. And that's kind of why I don't really have a good vibe about it. But I do
What do you mean?
hear what you're
You
saying.
don't like it because it's showing where we are enslaved? Is that what
You
you're
know
saying?
what? I went through a period where you start really awakening to what's going on in the world, and you start seeing that, oh, they are manipulating us to, go to work and make so much money and buy this and do this and fix this and,
Find a brand.
take this medication and fit in. But you start awakening to this programming, you start realizing it can, in the beginning, gets a little disturbing. I realize now that the big picture that it's all part of like the contrast, and there's benefit in that. But
I think I liked it because it makes it really accessible to see programs. Because there are a lot of people who are maybe at the very start of their awakening and they don't really know what people mean when they say things like you're programmed. Right. And this is a very easy way for them to see, well, how do you make somebody buy an anti-aging skin cream? Well, you make them worry about getting old. Tell them that old is bad and ugly.
Well,
and
they don't want to be so wrinkled.
And when they see this written out, it's difficult. I mean, maybe if that one doesn't land for you, but forever I've been the person who was very pro insurance, right? Like, you just buy insurance. Like, why wouldn't you? I could afford $100 a month to make sure that I'll be protected down the road. But of course, we know that insurance doesn't like to pay out, and there are all kinds of consequences if you use your insurance, and then maybe you could lose your insurance, and you're worrying then about, is my insurance even valid, right? Like, I really like this because it helps you make sense of what's going on in your brain. Does that make sense? I don't like that we labor under these ideas.
yeah, that's what I'm getting at as well. Is there we're co-creating this world,
Mhm.
but there is like a collective programming that we've kind of been through, and as you awaken, you can kind of like start making, more loving choices. It actually reminds me of a program I was listening with Abraham Hicks, and the title of the program is "I Don't Care," and it was like, like we care too much about these things, and it's like she went on about all these things she doesn't care about, right? And like, I don't care, and we all care what other people think. It's like you have to get to the point where you just don't care what other people think.
Right, and that is reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought there was a lot of value in getting that statement of "I don't care," and then you realize that we do care. Like for so many different things, we care what we look like, we care what we, what car we drive, or what house we live in,
Good morning.
or our health status, or something like that. We put a lot of care to fit into our society, right? Into
Yes.
our collective.
But I love that line in the the start of the second paragraph says, to be calm becomes a kind of revolutionary act.
It's interesting the preying on fear as well.
It's FOMO, right? Totally FOMO.
Well, I think also though, you don't pay attention to what your body is saying either. And I remember this particular time when I had spoken before about fertility issues
Right.
and whatnot. And I've done all the things,
Yes, you have.
literally all the fucking things. And I'm sitting in front of the doctor afterwards, and he's giving me an update on, why the last thing didn't work and what the next steps are. And it was like the Charlie Brown moment. Wah, 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 wah. And I really, really, really felt pressured onto this fertility wheel.
Yeah.
Well, next step is this, and you have to go get, but if you want to do that, you have to put in the requisition now, because it takes 3 months to do that. And then once that 3 months comes and you actually go for that procedure, you have a 9-month window. Once that 9-month window is over, that's it. So are you going to do it again in that time? And if so, you need to come up with $15,000 right this very freaking second. And it's like, I don't know what to do, right? And I was just sitting there getting an update, but I felt so pressured, and this whole entire time I'm listening to everything he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in my body is like, you need to leave.
Yeah.
Get away from this person. Don't do it. Don't do it.
So in this example that you're sharing, it says to be happy with your own non-upgraded existence would not be good for business. So what you're saying is trusting yourself and following that instinct just to get the hell out of the pressure would not be good for business either.
Well,
Because they wouldn't get their $15,000.
right?
They wouldn't get to push you further down the wheel.
Well, it doesn't matter. The wheel is designed so that you don't even have to be involved.
Just show up.
Like,
Your vagina kind of has to be there.
no, it doesn't. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you go further and further down the wheel, you don't need your own egg, and you don't need his sperm, and you don't need your own body, and you don't need any of that crap, because somebody else will do it for you with their own whatever, and there you go. But you need to get there, and there are a zillion steps before there that you will have to pay for. But, I mean, do you want to be a parent or don't you? Well, I mean, it's up to you.
Right.
You can do whatever you want. Right? So they lob this basket of shit into your,
Right.
and it is
also,
the fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out.
You want to or not, the clock's ticking.
And there's a lot of pressure, potentially in cultures and families, and having children to carry on the legacy
Yeah.
or whatever. it
And the
is.
name
The
and
name,
the
yeah.
tradition and
Yeah, and your parents I want grandkids, or all that stuff, right?
Still waiting.
Yeah.
Every phone call.
Oh my God.
But these are the the pressures, and it's again, they've been programmed too, whether it's your parents or
totally.
grandparents
Yeah.
or just what we expect in our society or things like that. So it goes back to you got to get to the point where you got to feel your gut instinct, listen to your body, And then sometimes you just gotta say, I don't care. Like, if it's meant to be, it should happen.
You do care.
Yeah,
I care a tremendous amount.
yeah.
And sometimes if you care too much, they always say that's kind of like the care of not having it. Like you care so much that you want this because you don't have it. And if you care so much that you don't have it, you're focused on the vibration of not having it, and it never can come in that vibration.
I don't know. I feel like that's one of those bypass things. I really do, because I think it prevents us from feeling the emotion of the moment we're in.
I think it's good to be aware of it, and that's part of part of the programming as well. Is like, you can get. Sometimes it's easier to get these things when you don't care. I think I was talking about my aunt and uncle. They could not have children for a long time, and it was maybe 15 years they were trying. They finally adopted, and as soon as they adopted, they were pregnant.
Yeah.
It was like,
And that happens sometimes,
Yeah.
but it does not happen as often as
no,
we like to tell the story that it happens.
right.
I know a handful of people who've had that happen to, and I know hundreds of people who never had them,
Mhm.
even going all the way down that wheel, right? So I guess what I'm saying is that perhaps it's not cut and dried.
No,
You're talking about contrast, right? So perhaps there are variances within that experience of contrast.
I agree though at the end of what the paragraph was saying there. It's the removal of not the not caring part, but kind of where you're not attached to the system and you're not attached to, I need it right this very second
Right.
or whatever. It'll allow the distance of, okay, well, I mean.
It's letting go of the fear.
Well, and it's the law of non-attachment.
Yeah.
Right? It's the law of conscious detachment. So what it says here at the end is, to be calm becomes a kind of revolutionary act. To be happy with your own, I love this, your own non-upgraded version of existence. To be comfortable with our messy human selves would not be good for business.
It's kind of like acceptance of what is.
Mhm.
So like, can we appreciate whatever is happening, and it's kind of like being in the moment, or living in the now, and how can we choose to be happy in the moment with whatever we've got.
I read this quote that I think fits in with what you were just saying. It's something that I had saved a while ago. I do this randomly. I find something like, oh my God, that's totally the one. And you'll be surprised to know, my internet boyfriend, Matt Kahn. It's been a long time since I talked about Matt Kahn on here. I know, shocking, right?
Yeah, I thought they broke up. One day she's like, no.
We're just really embracing non-attachment. So he wrote, each facet of experience, no matter how deeply we pray for its demise in exchange for a more preferable set of circumstances, cannot leave your field and return to source until it has fulfilled its divine role in assisting you to become more unconditionally loving than ever before.
Thoughts in that? Please read it again.
Yeah.
Each facet of experience, no matter how deeply we pray for its demise in exchange for a more preferable set of circumstances, cannot leave your field and return to source until it has fulfilled its divine role of assisting you in becoming more unconditionally loving than ever before.
What that reminds me of is that title of his book, is Love Whatever
Whatever arises, love that.
Yeah.
Just love that. Like, and it's
Yeah.
like, it's getting to that point of unconditional love. It's not an easy thing as a human being, I think, to get there, but it really is about that calmness. How can you, some situation can happen. Can you sit back and take a few breaths, observe it, see the benefit in it, love whatever that is, and then like kind of move on?
Do you have to see the benefit to love it?
Well,
I don't think so.
I like what Einstein said was, are you convinced that we live in a friendly universe, or do you think the universe is conspiring against you? So
Einstein actually said that?
Einstein said that.
Or was that just something you saw on the
It-
internet attributed to him?
You know what? I'm not quoting it exactly like Einstein said it, but
I'm just checking because a lot of stuff, spiritually speaking, has been attributed to him that he didn't actually say. So that's why I'm asking, like, did you see it in a textbook somewhere or something like that?
I didn't hear him say it, but it might not be true.
Oh, my, now we can now be listening.
But I did see it quoted with him, his saying was, one of the biggest decisions that you're gonna choose to make is, are you living in a friendly universe that is
Right.
working with your, or helping you awaken, or
Yeah.
are you working in a universe that's conspiring against you? And
And I always think about that too, when I think of people who are God-fearing,
Right.
right? They fear God.
Right.
Well, God was supposed to be a good guy. If
Right.
indeed it is a guy.
As long as you're good, he's good. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right?
it's all programming.
Exactly.
I like the understanding that, you know, I had to describe this week, it was like, you know, the Big Bang, before the Big Bang, there's this like pea-size matter. So that was all of the matter. So then it just broke out into everything. So it came from the one source and it created the one source. And that source, you could call it source, or you could call it God, or you can call it whatever that original thing was. But we're all connected to it all still. Like it came from that one piece. And yeah, so we're at another level, we're all one, but at this level, we're all feel like we're separated, which is kind of the biggest lie that we've been told. But through the separation is where we have all these experiences. And that's where the contrast is. So it's really deep and rich, but to wake up to the truth of what's actually going on is part of, I think, the challenge of why we're here.
I think the separation is good for business.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
There's
Because
only-
when you
There's only so
feel,
much, right?
when you feel isolated, when you feel lonely, when you feel it's just me against the world, you are for sure going to buy insurance. If you feel like the only way to not feel so lonely is if you have the latest version of the iPhone, because then you're like them too,
There's only so
you're going to
many.
buy it.
So you gotta line up overnight.
Right.
Spend $1,000.
Oh, God.
Fighting with the other.
Right.
Right, because there's a supply and demand.
Right. And then you belong to that tribe.
It's all marketing, people.
Like there's this whole group, there's this whole term called early adopters. They're their own little community of people who get in the lineup overnight to get the first and the latest and the greatest and the best. And they belong to an elite club. They're like VIPs because of that, and they belong, which is so good for business.
And they're so broke.
Maybe. Maybe. I don't know what their abundance factor looks like. I don't know what they're willing to receive and all of those details, but I can tell you why I'm not an early adopter.
Cause you like your bed too much. You're not getting up early to go.
I hadn't heard that term until recently.
Early
but
adopter?
Yeah, like I did hear in the last maybe year or 6 months, but I just thought it was such a weird group.
Everything has to have a label.
Why do they want to be first?
Yeah.
But you know, a friend of mine commented, she made this post a long time ago on Facebook, and she said, you know, when you're talking to people and you say that you've been sick, and they say, oh my God, I thought I was going to, they were more sick than you
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
We're always fighting to be the worst.
Number one.
And she's like,
Number
who
one.
wants to be the worst? Why would you fight to be the worst? She's like, I am done competing. And I think that's such an interesting twist on what we're talking about. It's like sort of the opposite, right? I've got to be the best. I've got to get the new phone. I've got to get the latest this. I've got to buy that property. I've got to. Oh, I'm the worst. Nobody cares about me. I'm lonely. I have more debt than you do. I have a job that I hate. I can't even get a job that I hate. Like we're always fighting. And because of that separation, right? Because of
I
that
don't care.
notion. Okay, so let me read this again, written by Matt Haig. The world The world is increasingly designed to depress us. Happiness is not very good for the economy. If we were happy with what we had, why would we need more? How do you sell an anti-aging moisturizer? You make someone worry about aging. How do you get people to vote for a political party? You make them worry about immigration. How do you get them to buy insurance? By making them worry about everything. How do you get them to have plastic surgery? By highlighting their physical flaws. How do you get them to watch a TV show? By making them worry about missing out. How do you get them to buy a new smartphone? By making them feel like they are being left behind. To be calm becomes a kind of revolutionary act. To be happy with your own non-upgraded existence, to be comfortable with our messy human selves would not be good for business. So maybe to bring this into practical terms, does anybody want to talk about how relates to their life? I mean, you just shared about your fertility experience. Is there anything anybody is fearing?
The word that came to my mind, I'm not gonna, is the word satisfied. Is like, can you be satisfied in the moment? And it's sometimes looked down upon. Oh, you're satisfied with that? You don't like, you know, you only made that much money this year, and you're satisfied with that, or you know.
It's interesting because I was at a bridal shower last weekend,
Right.
and I was sitting beside one of my cousins, and she said to me, you know, you're always so calm, you're always so peaceful, and I don't really understand that because I know all of this stuff that's happening in your life. And how are you always just so calm? And I looked at her quite honestly, and I said, what have I got to be worried about? Like, the Prosecco is pouring. We just had a beautiful meal. I'm surrounded by people that I love.
And then
Why would I not be calm? And she was like, holy shit, I don't know. Why am I not calm right now? But that's really the goal of mindfulness, right?
Mhm.
Is to just sink into your present exactly as it is right now. Like literally in this room, what do we have to worry about right now? We have heat, we have each other, we have light, we have Wi-Fi. We could get Uber Eats if we got hungry. Like, what do we have to worry about in this room right now? Because this is the only moment right now. And if we can allow ourselves to just be here,
in the moment.
what do you have to worry about?
It's kind of, the other thing, it's kind of the insurance thing, but it was like when you gather, let's say you get a big nest egg or you get, you know, a bunch of children or whatever, it becomes like.
It's the game of life.
It's
Your
like-
car is full of babies.
It comes down to like, okay, now I've got all this. Now you get afraid of losing it, right? It's like, oh,
Ah,
if you have nothing, you got nothing to lose. There's like a state that you can be in where you're not worried, but then you start gathering some things. You got like these material things. It's like, oh, I could lose all that money, or I could lose that business, or I could, you know, one of my children could get sick, or, you know, die in a car crash, or, you know, like you start like worrying about losing the things that you think are yours, right? And they're not.
but then again, we circle right back to the law of non-attachment.
Mhm. But they're,
And, you know, Guru says, what's the difference between you when you were 10 and you now? It's accumulation. You're the same person, but you've accumulated maybe height. He said maybe width. You've accumulated things.
No, all your life experience, really.
It's accumulation. You are the same.
mhm. Deepak was talking about, you know, you're actually always changing. Like your 10-year-old self is not who you are now. Like
Right.
you're never that same person. It's like constant change. And then I think we talked about anything that changes. It's not true,
Right.
but it's not real.
Right. So then we come back to Sadhguru's point.
Is it real?
Is it real?
Right.
What is real?
Yeah.
Right. we have about run out of time for discussion here. So I would just want to read that last paragraph one more time, because I think that's really where the gold is. To become calm becomes a kind of revolutionary act. To be happy with your own non-upgraded existence, to be comfortable with our messy human selves would not be good for business. That messy human selves part, that's the problem with bypassing. Because we don't get to be messy and cry that our parent has passed away, or that your daughter's beloved gerbil died on Christmas Eve. Like, you don't get to have those messy moments because you're so committed to being in the vibe of what you want.
And when you're in the vibe of what
So
you
then-
want, you never achieve it.
So then you do those things to get you there. So that's, again, well, how could I feel better in this moment? I know I could have a cup of coffee. Oh, I could have a drink with a friend. I could have a bar of chocolate. It's about getting. You have to allow yourself to feel those things. And a very brilliant woman once said to me, your body can only sustain an emotion for 7 minutes. So the worst case scenario is you sit down and you go, okay, I got 6.5 minutes left with this hysteria. I'm going to have it. It's the most freeing thing. And I tell people that all the time. Like, you don't know how many people's lives you've saved with that. Sincerely.
How do you come up with the 7 minutes?
I remember being told that one time that it can only be sustained for 7 minutes. So you will, was it 7 or 9? It was 7. So if you're crying, you're not going to go past that.
Right.
It's the same with like the waves, right? And then you will be perfectly fine for that also equal amount of time. And then it might come back. And then back down, and then back up, and then back down. But you don't know when it's over, right? But it's only going to be like that. You're not going to cry for 24 hours straight.
The 7 minutes might happen and you go get a tissue. And so you blow your nose and you're not crying.
You get yourself together.
You have a drink of water and then maybe you start to cry again.
Right. For that 7 minutes again. And then.
Yeah, I was wondering where they came up with it, because I heard Dr. Joe Dispenza talking about, like, he will talk to his kids, and I think he has them at 90 seconds or something, where you can feel that all you want, like, but after 90 seconds, you're faking it, because you don't have to have that emotion anymore. But if you want to, like, keep building on it, you can. He's kind of trained them that you can break out of that vibration.
You just use some key words there. Like, I think he's programming that. I really do.
I'm not sure where he got it from.
Yeah,
I'm not sure where the 7 minutes
But
came
like,
from.
if I had ever said to my kids, you have 90 seconds to feel this, I would feel like I was really trying to control their experience.
Well,
And you're watching.
Yeah, I'm
the
not-
time.
And sometimes
after-
your kids need to be, like, they need to be able to express themselves.
should they have 7 minutes, or should they have?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say to anyone,
Yeah.
okay, Mom, you're devastated right now.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know that
Yeah.
my brother's dog just died. You've got 6 minutes and 52 seconds that I'm willing to engage this hysteria. I would never do that because it completely undermines where the person is,
Yeah, for sure.
you know? And I think that's where we start to go down those cycles of, well, you often call us for being judgmental, right? Like that becomes judgmental. That becomes like bypassing. That becomes avoidance of the messy human experience. I don't know. It's interesting, but we are out of time. Thank you for joining us here on our YouTube adventure. We'll be here every Sunday, so hopefully you want to click subscribe here. I think there's a red button in the upper right corner. We would love to have you here each Sunday. If you wanted to join us live and in person here at Awakened Chiropractic at 701 Rossland Road East on the second floor in Whitby, Ontario, we would love to have you because we're now going to go and do some hands-on healing with those who are here. So if you would like to have some healing, please join us. We would love to serve you. Have a beautiful week, everybody, and we'll see you next Sunday. Okay, bye. So now